Only 3 creatures inhabit Verso's canvas after the fracture, and one of them shouldn't exist. Gestrals, Grandis and Nevrons, all created by the hands of the painters, yet they stand apart, almost opposites. The Gestrals are curious and childlike, with competition at the heart of their culture. The Grandis are peaceful, preferring wit over brawn, and the Nevrons are monstrous and violent. Today we're diving into their story, everything we know for certain and everything the fan community has pieced together from scraps of lore. This video will feature heavy spoilers, so if you haven't played the game yet, I'd suggest experiencing the story firsthand. The world the expedition inhabits isn't a world in the traditional sense. It's one that was painted, a pocket dimension of sorts, created by a young Verso and held together with a fragment of his soul. You encounter that fragment throughout the game, as memories and as a small boy painting in a strange realm between the canvas and the real world. I went over the fracture in my last video, but as a quick recap, after the real Verso's death, his mother Aline entered the canvas as part of her grieving process. Her husband Renoir followed her, trying to save her from herself. But when the two clashed, the world of the canvas itself fractured. What was once stable became twisted and broken, throwing all semblance of order into chaos. With that out of the way, let's look at the creatures that survived after the fracture. Let's start with the Gestrals. If you've played the game, you've definitely met them. They're small, wooden, brush-like creatures, curious, competitive, and full of energy. They're not enemies in the same sense that Nevrons are, but they do love to fight. The Gestrals existed before the fracture, painted into being by a young Verso who would play within the canvas alongside his sisters. The human inhabitants of the canvas remember meeting Gestrals long before the disaster, and earlier expeditions encountered them too, sometimes with disastrous results. In a journal from Expedition 52, we read, "I'm bleeding out, but their medic is bloody useless. He just keeps telling me about his burn problems. Putain, I'm gonna die here, aren't I?" Gestrals seem to revere displays of strength and courage. When Expedition 33 reached the Gestral village, they find a lost member who's won their hearts through just sheer daring do. This spirit is most apparent at the Gestral beaches, strange playgrounds where they host their Gestral games, races, climbing contests, and other challenges the expeditioners can join in on. Their competition isn't destructive though, it's playful. Their world is about joy, motion, and just the thrill of being alive. And then there's Monoco, the subject of this week's painting. Monoco is a Gestral who learned to speak the human language, a companion who joins the expedition. He can fight, transform, and even mimic the combat skills of Nevrons, a remarkable adaptation. Through Monoco, we gain a rare glimpse into how Gestrals perceive their world. More importantly, he shows that Gestrals are capable of love. In Monoco's case, love he holds for his mentor, Noco. After Noco's death, Monoco is deeply affected. Gestrals don't gommage, since they're created by Verso and not Aline, meaning they're either not targeted by Renoir or he has no power over them. Instead, their life cycle features rebirth in the Sacred River, though this reincarnation comes with the loss of all previous memories. Monoco mourns this, saying the Noco you knew is gone. It raises an ethical question, one I can't answer with research. What does it mean for painters to create sentient life capable of love and loss? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So the Gestrals are fire, bombastic, colourful and full of life. I like to think they were born from Verso's childhood curiosity and that boyish urge to be big and strong. But what of the Grandis? If the Gestrals are fire, then the Grandis are water. They're peaceful, creatures who prefer a battle of wits to a clash of fists. Another of Verso's creations, the Grandis appear large, rotund and hairy, with stone or crystalline aspects to their bodies. They're extraordinarily long-lived, with some remembering playing with human children, though whether those were Verso and his siblings or Aline's creations remains uncertain. What is clear is that they interacted with humans before the fracture, even living among them. The fracture, however, was catastrophic for the Grandi. Their gentle nature left them ill-suited for the battles that followed, and they were nearly wiped out in the wars against the Nevrons. From Expedition 65's journal, we discover:
the Grandi retreated to higher ground after the Nevrons overran their lands. It is bittersweet, but at least the most important parts of their civilization will survive, their children. Fortunately for them, they do not appear affected by the Gommage the way we are.
Though immune to the Gommage, their population was utterly devastated by the fracture. Where once there were many tribes of Grandi, now only a few scattered groups remained. They treasure wit and poetry over martial prowess. Though their numbers are too few for the grand intertribal competitions of the past, they still hold poetry duels between individuals, even inviting members of Expedition 33 to compete. While peaceful, some Grandi did take up arms after the fracture. Their bodies lie among the fallen on the forgotten battlefield, side by side with Gestrals and humans. When we discover them, the Grandi have become myth, little more than stories and tall tales told among the people of Lumiere. Less mythical and far, far more dangerous are the Nevrons. They come in many shapes and sizes, some geometric, others hand-like, and some resembling pale, clay-bodied humans. They are almost always hostile, and that hostility traces back to their purpose. As the stalemate between Aline and Renoir deepened, their daughter Clair entered the canvas, trying to tip the scales in her father's favour. She created the Nevrons with a single goal: to trap chroma, the essence that powers a painter's creations, inside their victims' bodies, denying Aline the strength she needed to sustain herself and her creations within the canvas. Clair also painted over her mother's painted version of herself, creating a Nevron factory of sorts. It's unclear if the real-world version of Clair even knows about the expeditions. If she did, surely she'd help them defeat the Paintress and, by extension, eject her mother from the painted world. Perhaps she acted out of desperation, rushing to help her father however she could, while dealing with her own battle in the real world. Clair is an enigmatic figure, to say the least, and I'll be diving much deeper into the Descendre family in the future video, but this haste may explain why some Nevrons remain unfinished. Interestingly, these incomplete ones appear more docile than the finished versions. A journal from Expedition 81 notes,
"This is the first Nevron with whom we've been able to communicate. It seems stuck in this cave. Gregor is, as usual, deeply suspicious, but this could change our entire understanding of Nevrons."
Nevrons also seem capable of recognising each other. Expedition 44 writes,
"Disguising ourselves as Nevrons has proven to be extremely ineffective, to say the least. Maybe they recognise each other by their chroma?"
Expedition 33 encounters both types, finished and unfinished, and even Renoir's own Nevron creations within the axon layers. More on the axons in a future video. What's clear is that most Nevrons are lethally dangerous. They make no distinction between Aline's creations or Verso's, attacking Gestrals, Grandi and humans alike. Only humans, however, have their chroma trapped. Verso's creations remain immune to this power. And that's the finished piece, Monoco, ready to add to his growing collection of feet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Painting the Lore, consider subscribing. Your support is always warmly appreciated. Next time, we're going to take a look at life in Lumiere through the story of Ciel. Until next time, farewell.